Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to today's video. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I love your input. Please comment. I love seeing it and it gives me ideas to continually make new videos. Today, we'll be talking about how to make friends as an adult for Asian men. Of course, this advice is applicable to everyone, but I'm going to cater it towards Asian men. So, making friends as an adult, I know it's quite arduous and a lot harder than we anticipated. It's quite different from being in an environment that's full of stimulation with people our own age. You have to realize that making friends as an adult is quite harder. You actually have to put in the work and actually go out of your ways to make friends because you're not in such a close proximity environment. You're not bumping into the same people, especially people who are in the same age cohort as you are. A lot of it can be ranging from 22 to 50 to 60 and 70. You are a part of the adult population. You are no longer a student. And understand that with COVID and everything, it kind of hindered a lot of social skills and social interactions. So I feel like we never got the proper conclusions of our college career. But realize it's 2023 and we have to do something, right? So realize that it is okay to feel like you're missing out and it's okay to feel like you're lonely, and that is a great stepping stone to interact with more people. This will create the fire and passion where you want to meet people and develop a social circle and maybe even intimate relationship. But realize this actually takes some skills, okay? I'll get into more technical specifics later, but let's talk about why you need to make adult friends. Realize that you have to get off the video games and online environment. Okay, I'm not saying it's bad, but let's try to take time away from the online environment and trying to build friends in person. There's something great about having friends in real life. There's something great about being flesh to flesh, seeing someone, hearing their voice, understanding their facial expressions, right? There's something great about having this feeling of connectedness with another human being that doesn't really happen on the online presence. There's something great about having someone that hugs you, shakes your hand, laughing, right? There's something great about that. And realize if you feel lonely and you feel like you would want to go make friends but don't know how, it's going to be a journey, but realize you're in step one. Realizing that you need to make new friends. Okay, so I can give you some logistical advice, but realize you are going to be terrified of doing it, and realize you have to build the mentality of saying, look, every single interaction that I will have, I have to treat as permanent. Practice makes permanent. Realize that every social interaction, no matter how big or small, may lead to something, and you have to treat it with the same intensity and realize it's going to take some time. You have to be patient and it's going to require a lot of work. So how do you make adult friends? Okay, first of all, you have to go to places where people actually are. So if you live in the boonies or suburbs, maybe you have to go to the downtown center or somewhere where there's a lively young crowd. And the thing is, my friends are actually 40, 50, 60, right? Not everyone's in the same age as I am, but that's okay. But you have to go to somewhere where people actually intermingle. If you live in the farm or somewhere rural, it might be a little difficult, but you can always move to a big city and have those interactions. So if you don't know where to start, Google Maps. This is the best thing. Find out where the local nightlife actually is. And I'm saying nightlife in terms of bars and everything, but there's also community centers, right? This can involve dancing, yoga studios, coffee shops, stand-up comedy, poetry, right? Poetry slams. Realize, where does everything take place? Okay. So the thing is, you should start asking people in your local environment. If you live in your apartment, start asking people where the nightlife is. You have to identify that because you don't want to just be going to random bars trying to figure it out. Let's come with a systematic plan of going out. Yes, there's some spontaneity to it and it's beautiful. You might walk into somewhere and be like, oh wow, this is damn cool. But you have to get outside of your house. So what I would do is look up bars near me on Google Maps and start reading the reviews and realize what type of crowd, what's the ambiance. Is it a cocktail bar? Is it a dive bar? Is it a sports bar? Okay, start realizing these things and you can start tailoring your interactions with things you actually enjoy. So if you're really into sports, find a local sports pub, right? Every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night when there's a big game, there will be a small group of people that continually go there, locals, regulars. You have to find the regulars at places. You don't want to find necessarily new people all the time because they're new to the city in the same way as you are. But if you can befriend someone who's a local, they already have an ecosystem and friendship that you can help network and expand your horizons, right? Usually locals, if you keep showing up and showing interest in their passions in their town, in the pub or bar or whatever restaurant or business you're in, if you show appreciation for it, they'll start introducing you to people in your community. That way, you have a network to go off of. And the thing is, if you're new to the city, you want to find new people, that's really great. And you can explore the city by yourself or with them. But there's something great about having locals show you around. So you have to go and find the local crowd. Realize if you can find that, that will help solve everything else. But you have to go out and try. And the thing is, if you're not really into alcohol, that's okay. There might be things like coffee shops where there's a community, a regular, right? There might be a regular event, and start following these pages on Instagram, right? The cool thing is when you follow breweries or coffee shops, Instagram pages, they post the staff and regulars, right, by sharing stuff. And you can start identifying regulars through this way. Be like, oh, wow, I see that person all the time. And you can introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm new to the city, start the conversation and keep going on. You want to make new friends, XYZ. I'm not going to tell you technical specifics because you should be able to do that on your own, because if I say it and you recite it, then it's not organic. What's the point, right? If you can find places where locals go and regulars go, and somewhere where cross-pollination actually happens, where people actually talk to each other, there's no point in going somewhere alone and no one's interacting with each other. And the thing is, of course, you can take the initiative and approach people, which might work in your favor, especially if it's like a really busy coffee shop, but no one's talking because everyone's doing work, right? You might be able to start a conversation when people go out, but people sometimes are going there specifically for work and they don't want to talk. Another thing is realize, how do you find places where you can actually interact with people? It can't be too busy. Okay, it can't be too busy and it can't be too empty. You have to find that sweet spot. So recognize, for example, if you're going to a local bar, you can't go at the peak of the night because your shoulder to shoulder people are next to you, they're in their squads, it's super loud, it's really hard to interact because it's fucking busy, right? You're gonna be extremely shocked and really scared and nervous when there's a huge crowd of people screaming, laughing, and you're like, well, I don't know where to start. So you have to find that sweet spot before the party begins. If you're gonna go to a bar, I truly believe like 8, 9 p.m. or happy hour is the best time. That's when people are getting off work, starting the night, and you can interact with people at the bars, because most people who go out alone, if they're visiting, go around these hours, because if you go too late, there's nowhere to sit, nowhere to stand. So getting there early, people are actually sitting there and talking. In the same way, this would go for coffee shops. I think coffee shops are slept on because usually they're not only coffee shops. Sometimes they have live music there. Sometimes they have poetry, sometimes they have improv. Sometimes these coffee shops have stages for acts, and that's something you have to recognize, is getting there early and talking to people. You have to find the right place, because there's no reason to go out in places you don't want to even be in, right? You actually have to be interested in the places you go into, because you'll have that passion and courage to keep on going. Because if you're not interested in activities or places there, you're faking it, and everyone can tell. And realize, if you are a shy, introverted Asian man, maybe going to the Lao fratty sports bar is not the best option, okay? There may be arcade bars, they may be cafes that have board games, and you can go sit down and pick up a game. Maybe go to these places first. But the number one thing is, look, you have to be in a place where people actually go out. If you are a young adult living in the suburbs full of adults and families, maybe that's not the most poppin' place. So you have to move to centers where there's a young demographic. And the thing is, you don't always have to do that. A lot of my friends, right, at the cigar lounge are very old, and I love that. I love the intellectual misfit attitude that they have, and it makes me feel like I belong. But the thing is, I like that environment. I love cigar lounges. So it's something that I find is very interesting, and I feel at home and at ease, and I always love the conversations I have. But going there and actually interacting with people, because there's people sitting down by themselves and sitting down and be like, hey, can I join you? Because sometimes there's one seat open and you go up and ask those guys if they're going to join you, and they usually start up a conversation. In the same way, if you are out in public, ask if you can join a conversation. Obviously, don't be weird about it. Read the situation. If someone's having a heart-to-heart, maybe don't go in. But if people are looking around laughing, then maybe it's your cue to go over and just make some new friends. So realize this. Making adult friends is super hard, because once you start interacting with people, you actually have to get their number or Instagram or social media, and you have to follow back up. Once you get someone's number from a great interaction, because you want to hang out with them again, you have to pour and invest energy and be like, hey, what are you doing next week? Find out scheduling and show up again. And sometimes these friendships don't lead to anywhere. These leads don't go anywhere, because you realize, I'm just lonely, I'm trying to hang out with people, but we really have nothing in common. It's probably not a really good step. The whole point is going to places you have a genuine passion and interest in. Therefore, you'll find like-minded individuals. You start a conversation with these like-minded individuals, and if it goes well, get their contact to schedule something for a separate date. And once again, you keep showing up, investing. As time goes on, realize time is a huge factor in this. You will create genuine friendships and longevity. And the thing is, if you are cool, maybe they have friends they invite, and you get invited to their birthday parties, someone's pre-game, stuff like that, and now you have a social circle. Of course, it sounds a lot simpler than it actually is. Realize it's hard, it will take time, there'll be a lot of frustrations, because you're going to go through this phase where you have so much anxiety and fear, being like, what am I doing here? I just want to go home, the comfort of my own bedroom, play video games. Realize that's very, very real, okay? But the thing is, you have to conquer that fear. You have to conquer that fear. And the thing is, realize that the place you go, there is a criteria or a certain vibe there. Realize if you dress really hip, you kind of look like an artist, and you go to somewhere that likes more of a traditional Southern cowboy style, maybe you're gonna get some weird looks. Okay, maybe you might get some weird looks. So realize if you want to go somewhere, dress the part to feel like you belong. I'm not saying to be a carbon copy, but I'm saying fit the look, right? When you fit the look, people genuinely are more approachable because they're able to identify if you have similar interests, right? So if you go to a sports bar or a pub and you wear a jersey and it's that home game, realize it's probably easy to start a conversation because you're kind of showing your team on your back. So recognize that making friends is something that is quite crucial. And I feel like no one has ever really taught you how to make friendships. I feel like what happens is a lot of our friends we have from our immediate social circles. We have friends from elementary school, middle school, high school, and college, or people in our class where the environment forces us to interact with each other. The thing is, of adulthood, that is kind of put away. You're thrown into an ocean where there's people of all races, ethnicities, colors, and age. And you have to go and find and make your own way. There's just so many possibilities of making friends. There's no technical guide. I can give some general advice, but I can't give you specifics because there's so many different ways to make friends that I possibly can't cover it. But what I can do is address the fear and nervousness. Realize that the fear is okay. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It's just excitement in the wrong place. Fear, right, is just excitement. Because you want to go hang out with people, but you have to conquer that fear and realize the more and more you go out and interact with people, that fear will diminish because the reward versus the risk is so much greater. You know, when you're going out in the beginning, the risk is significantly high. Social rejection, right? That hurts. But every successful interaction you have, you're going to rewire your brain. It'll be a positive feedback loop because the more you talk to people, you'll have the idea that I can be successful. I've done it in the past. You're more willing to do that in the future. Versus if every social interaction you've had was really bad, you're not going to want to do it again because you have a negative feedback loop now. And instead of having positive emotions by interacting with people, you have fear, like, damn, I'm going to suck. People aren't going to like me. And what happens is it's a confirmation bias. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You think you're not going to do well, therefore you don't do well. So guys, I'm going to say this. Maybe we weren't taught how to make friends from an early age. Maybe our parents didn't teach us how to make friends. Maybe they shied us away from social interaction and only made us focus on school and work. But realize you're an adult now and you can change your life. You can change the way. Mommy and daddy aren't ruling your life. You're a full-grown adult and you need to learn to live and stand on your own 2 feet. Realize your parents won't be around forever and you can't give up your life to please them. Okay, if you're happy doing what you're doing, then this video is not meant for you. If you're genuinely happy, you're going to have to do something about it and realize it's going to take a hell of a lot more time and effort than you originally thought. But you have to do that because the pain of remaining the same is greater than the pain of change itself. So recognize that. If you want to talk about this further, please email me at bettertalksconsult@gmail.com. If you want to see what I'm up to, follow me on Instagram at m.deep20. It's in the description below. As always, namaste. Peace out.